Hey guys, welcome to Starting Out Solitary. It is sub week here, and this is Tuesday. I'm your sub host, Terra Incognita, and this week we are talking about the history of paganism and witchcraft and the significance it plays on our personal practices. So personally, I don't really have a lot to say on this topic. History is not really a subject that I am particularly interested in. And while I do think that it is important to learn about certain things and to be respectful of history, it's not something that I pursue actively to learn about. So I really don't incorporate historical moments into my practice. It really doesn't affect me directly. Obviously, a lot of the things that we do in our practices are brought about because of historical things and traditions and things like that. But to pinpoint a historical moment or event and say that this has affected me or, you know, I have a strong opinion about this, I don't. And I think that I attribute a lot of that, first of all, to the fact that history is not that interesting to me. And second of all, to the fact that I do not think of my practice as the old religion. To me, it's a new religion. It is not the old ways. It might be reminiscent of the old ways, but it was not a tradition that was passed down to me from prior generations. It's something that I made up. So it's, you know, I read things, I take bits and pieces, and I make my practice. I'm eclectic. So that to me is a new religion, a new practice. And so I really believe more that it is a new way of thinking about old things. But I definitely, you know, and there are people out there who have family traditions and whatnot. And so historical moments in time might directly affect their practice because it might have affected their family a certain way when there were, you know, crusades and things going on and witches going into hiding, and it all would have affected the way their families did their practices. But none of that happened to my family because my family is not a family of witches. So it's you know, a new way of thinking of the old ways. And so I really, I mean, there's the witch trials and the Salem witch trials and the burning times and all that. My opinion, it was a bad time. It was a terrible thing. Most of the people that were murdered were not witches, from what I understand. They were basically people that were preyed upon by other people in positions of power. It was a tragedy. It was terrible. But it's not something that I really spend much time thinking about in my day-to-day practice. I think that, you know, when you learn stuff, when we pick up these books and we're reading these things, obviously they're going to touch on the history, and yes, you learn it, you respect it. You appreciate the things that people have done before you in the past that they have, you know, made so that you can be where you are at. So many of us are out of the closet now or able to do things publicly that once upon a time we couldn't because of other people paving the way. And that's extremely admirable. But I couldn't pinpoint a moment in time and think that is the person that did that for me. Thank you. You know, that affected me. So unfortunately, I'm probably not the best sub for this week, or maybe, you know, it is good to hear from somebody who doesn't really think that the history directly impacts their practice. Indirectly, obviously, but not directly. So, and really the Salem witch trials for the first probably 13 years of my life, I thought happened in Salem, Oregon, because I live in Washington and I didn't know when I was a kid that there was a Salem, Massachusetts. So I assumed all that happened down in good old Oregon. So when I think of the Salem witch trials, that's usually the first thing that comes to mind. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have for this week. And it's really nice to be around here with all of you guys again. And I guess I'll see you in another month for sub week. Blessed be.